Okay, we're headed into the Broad Universe Rapid Fire reading. I'm one of the readers along with my friends. We'll get some clips of them and share it with you. Come along with me. I'm at Balticon.
Trish Waldridge, and we're going to start off with Danielle Ackley-McPhail.
Hello. I am reading from one of my science fictions. It has recently been published in the most current issue of Trails of Indiscretion magazine, which is a literary magazine. The publishers are actually in the dealer's room. And my story is the cover story, which is quite interesting, and it is called Sinn Mensch. I might garble it. I use some German phrases, and I do not know German, so please don't correct me if I'm wrong.
Story that has not yet been published, but it will be in the 2008 DragonCon anthology. This was something that was mentioned in one of the panels I was on yesterday. It's a short story set at DragonCon called Hero Material. I'm in need of a hero. A silky voice whispered in Carmen Raim's head. Would that be you? The skin on the back of Cam's neck crawled under her hair. She stood in one of the few bubbles of empty space in the DragonCon dealer's room.
And I'm the author of the Chronicles of the Necromancer series. Summoner is the first book in the series. The Blood King came out this year, and in 2009, book 3, Darkhaven, will come out. Walk carefully, my prince, the ghost warned. You are in great danger this night. Outside the mullioned windows, Martyr Straight could hear the revelry of the feast day crowds. Torchlight glittered beyond the glass, and costumed figures danced, singing and catcalling past the castle tower. Dressed in the 4 aspects of the one goddess, Margolen's sacred lady, the partygoers lurched behind an effigy of the crone mother. Far more intent, this feast of the departed, on appeasing their appetite for ale than memorializing the dead. From whom? Triss returned his attention to his spectral visitor. The ghosts of the palace Shakarashet were so numerous that he could not recall having ever seen this particular spirit before, a thin-faced man with heavy-lidded eyes whose antiquated costume marked him as a member of the court 100 years past. The specter flickered and tried to say more, but no sound came. Triss leaned closer. Now of any time, the ghost should be the easiest to see, for on haunts, as the feast day was commonly known, spirits walk openly abroad, and even skeptics cannot refuse to see. The palace ghosts had been Triss's friends since childhood, long before he came to understand that his insubstantial companions were not so easily seen by those around him. Spirits vanish, the fading ghost managed. Beware the soul catcher. Triss had to strain for the last words as the revenant faded into nothing. Puzzled, he sat back on his heels, his sword clattering against the hard stone floor. The rap at the door nearly made him lose his footing. What are you doing in there? Aren't you alone? Teased Ban Satirius through the door. The latch lifted and the sturdy captain of the guard strode in. Nothing in the young man's manner corroborated the strong smell of ale on his breath, save for his musk-brown hair and the slight rumpling of his fine tunic. I'm alone now, Triss said, with a glance back to where the ghost had been. Satirius looked from Triss to the empty wall. I keep telling you, Triss, the guardsman said, you gotta get out more. Me? I don't care if I ever talk to a ghost, unless she's a good-looking lass with a pint of ale. Triss managed to smile. Have you seen the spirits tonight? Satirius thought for a moment. Not as much as usual now that you mention it, especially for haunts. He brightened. But you know how they love a good story. They're probably down listening to Caraway tell his tales. He pulled at Triss's sleeve. Come on, there's no law that says princes can't have fun too. And while I'm standing up here with you, I could be missing the love of my life down in the great room. Satirius' good humor made Triss chuckle. The captain of the guards was a favorite with the court's noble daughters. Satirius' light brown hair was cut short for a battle helm. He was of medium build, fit and tanned from training with the guards. Everything about his bearing and his manner bespoke his military background, but the mischievous twinkle in his dark eyes softened his features and seemed to make the marriageable maidens flock to him. Triss was just as happy to have those same young girls and their ambitious mothers distracted. He stood a head taller than Satirius with a lean, rangy build. He'd been told often that his angular features and his high cheekbones took after the best of both his parents, but the white blonde hair that framed his face and fell to his shoulders was clearly from Queen Ceres' side, as were the green eyes that matched those of his grandmother, the famed sorceress Bavaka. It was a combination the ladies of the court found quite attractive. I promise I'll be right down behind you, Triss said, and Satirius raised an eyebrow skeptically. I just want to light a candle and put a gift in grandmother's room before I go. Then you can take me on that tour of alehouses you've been promising. Satirius grinned. I'll hold you to that, Prince Drake, he laughed. Get moving. The way the festival's going tonight, they'll run out of ale, and you know Brandy doesn't agree with me. Triss heard his friend's bootsteps fade down the corridor as he made his way to the family rooms. The silent stairs from a row of paintings and tapestry seemed to follow him. The long-dead kings of Margolan, King Bryson's forebears. Bryson's lineage was one of the longest unbroken monarchies in the Winter Kingdoms. Glancing at their solemn visages and knowing the stories of what they had endured to secure their thrones, Trish was glad the crown would not pass for him. He picked up the torch from the sconce on the wall and opened the door into his grandmother's room. The smell of incense and potions still clung to the sorceress's chamber 5 years after her death. But the sorceress Baba Ka had earned that kind of awe, and though Trish remembered her most clearly as an indulgent grandmother, the legends of her power were enough to make him hesitate just an instant before stepping further into the room.
Good morning, my name is Kelly Harmon, and I'm going to be reading from my novella Blood Soup, which will be published in July. Piacenza was dying. Weak, almost non-existent contractions rippled the muscles of her womb. She hadn't the strength to push the babe out, though Salvagia suspected that was no longer the problem. A full day of labor, and there was nothing to show for it but blood on the sheet.
A work in progress, and it's co-written by me and Trisha Wooldridge. Monica's eyes floated to the window, watching the sunset outside. The purpling pink and orange of the sky won her attention over the thick volume of Werewolves, an anthology of facts. Sighing slightly, her mind collected images of better sunsets in a different time in her life. Sunsets that span the horizon in a desert on the outskirts.
And I'm going to be reading from a short story that I also wrote with Christy called Party Crashers. That is in the new Badass Fairies 2 that's coming out this weekend. You're dressed now? Lance Corporal Cameron Fairweather arched a blonde eyebrow as an evening gown-clad Monica arrived in the helicopter bay. Well, we'll be arriving in San Diego just short of the party, Monica protested, glancing at the uniformed Cameron with the rest of the Shadow Guard.
I'm glad you could join me today at Balticon. It's been a lot of fun. I'm Gail Martin, the author of The Summoner and the Blood King and the Chronicles of the Necromancer. You can find my site at chroniclesofthenecromancer.com. See you soon.